I'd like to welcome you. My name is Joyce Lawrence. I'm the mayor of Downey, California, and this is December 1996. Downey, California, as one of Los Angeles County's 88 municipalities, is relatively young, having been incorporated just 40 years ago on December 17, 1956. But the city we see today, with quiet, well-maintained residential areas that speak of community pride and home ownership, and the bustling commercial thoroughfares, such as Downey's main artery of Firestone Boulevard, has a much longer history of settlement that reaches back over the last 1 1/4 centuries. Here on what is today's Firestone Boulevard, one little piece of that history took place. It has been captured and preserved for the generations of Downeyites who are curious, or who will one day be curious, about the roots of their city. The Dismukes Pioneer Cottage, used as a doll hospital, antique shop, and restaurant storage area by the 1980s, was one of those anonymous parts of Downey's modern streetscape that most of us took for granted as we whizzed by at 40 miles an hour on the way to somewhere else. The kind of building that, when it disappears one day, we ask ourselves, now what was that used to be there, as we continue on our way? But hidden behind the tired business face of that century-old cottage is the story of our town as reflected in the pioneer experiences of those who built it, lived in it, cared about it, and the modern souls who later uprooted it in order to save it. The Dismukes family, according to the Los Angeles Times New Year's Day edition for the year 1888, was one of the proud owners of a new home built in Downey during the previous year. According to Historical Society President John Vincent, who supervised its total restoration, the home is an early California single construction or plank house, constructed of 9-foot, 1 by 12-inch vertical planks, stabilized by horizontal 2 by 6s, and the whole thing held together by tongue and groove siding. Vincent said, though by modern standards the construction might seem precarious, the fact that it has survived for more than 100 years, 4 major earthquakes, and a midnight move attests to the soundness of this method of building. In this photo, obviously commemorating the new house and picket fence, we see Maud and Edwin Price Dismukes posing with their cherished possessions. He, his 2 Morgan horses, she, her first 2 children. The toddler would not survive the year. In fact, 6 of the couple's 11 children would die in infancy. Edwin Dismukes had come to Downey as a young man with his parents in the mid-1870s, fresh from post-Civil War Tennessee, where as a Union radical the elder Dismukes had helped get their home county back on its feet. About the same time, Methodist minister Samuel McKee Adams brought his wife and daughter, Maud, from Mississippi across the Isthmus of Panama to their new life in Downey, where acreage on the fertile Los Angeles River floodplain was cheap and plentiful. Maud and Edwin never became wealthy, never made the who's who, but their journeys to our community would be echoed again and again in the roots of our pioneer families. Several years later, Edwin would build a larger home on land now occupied by today's Warren High School. There he would establish a thriving nursery business and raise their family. In the late 1920s, the original Dismukes cottage would become the home of the Bart and Lena Sanders family, seen in this later photo. A lean-to kitchen and indoor plumbing had been added as 20th century necessities. Also in the 20s, the home became the property of Gertrude Saylor Crandall, through whose family the ownership eventually came to Robert Kiskadden. One of the last families to live in the cottage may have been Gregory and Karen Phillips, who rented it for $50 a month in 1971-72. Their first child was born to them while at that address. The famous Sylmar earthquake rocked their walls and floors to and fro, but the house still stood. As noted earlier, it spent its last days on Firestone Boulevard as a storage spot and conversation piece for the old Mike's Place customers. To save it from demolition for a parking lot, Robert and Jean Kiskadden donated the cottage to the Downey Historical Society, who then worked with the city of Downey to move it to its current location adjacent to the Downey History Center at Apollo Park. The city of Downey allocated $5,000 toward the $10,000 moving cost from its Community Development Block Grant funds. The all-volunteer Downey Historical Society funded the balance of the moving and all restoration costs, assisted with expertise, labor, materials, and contributions from civic leaders and organizations, plus several generous grants from the Walter and Alma Peterson Support Foundation. Members of the community who are not necessarily inspired by pioneer tales could and did get enthused about the preparations and the stirring midnight move of the little house down Paramount Boulevard, over railroad tracks, under power lines, rounding the corner at Imperial Highway and again at Reeves Avenue, to its final destination and gleeful celebration at 12540 Reeves. By the way, the libation is Downey's official beverage, sparkling apple cider. Retired teacher and Historical Society President John Vincent, off-duty firefighters, B-17 wingmen, and assorted do-it-yourselfers have spent hundreds of hours doing it themselves so that Downey could have a place to illustrate a part of its history. What a day it was when the veterans of foreign wars and Keep Downey Beautiful helped celebrate the completion of the Dismukes house with a new flagpole and flower garden. Today the home is opened on special occasions and for tours as requested. Volunteers are always welcome for the painting, decorating, gardening, and other tasks involved in perpetuating Downey's Dismukes house. We invite you to visit and get involved.